thanks to everyone here who is joining us in person and all the people who have joined online. On our schedule next is a keynote address from Dr. Penelope Muzananyamo, who is assistant professor in marketing and society in the School of Business at the University College Dublin. And I have some disappointing news to pass along to everyone who's gathered for the keynote address. So we just received a message about 30 minutes ago. Dr. Muzana Nyamo had planned to be back from a research trip. She's on a research trip to Zimbabwe right now. She had planned to be back when she accepted the invitation to do the keynote address, but she was delayed and had to continue, had to stay in Zimbabwe for a few days. She didn't explain why, but had to do with the field work that she was doing. She planned to make the connection and do the presentation anyway, but she just informed us about 30 minutes ago that she's unable to find a reliable connection, so she has withdrawn from the presentation. So I apologize for the disappointment to everyone who has gathered here and online. What we're going to do now is shift gears a bit, and we had planned to do after her presentation lunch and then followed by business meeting. So what we're going to do instead is to do the business meeting now instead of doing, we're going to keep the presentations that are scheduled for the afternoon in the afternoon because some people are not ready to deliver them or they're not present. So we're going to stick to the schedule for the afternoon with the one exception of moving the business meeting to now. So for those of you who came for the keynote address and don't want to stick around for the business meeting, we completely understand that. For those of you who are willing to stay for the business meeting, both in person and online, please do so. I'm going to hand it over now to the president of MAAAS, Cristobal Soto, who will preside over the meeting.
All right, so thank you, Glenn, and thank you everybody for being here. And I know some of you are really disappointed. They were looking forward to the keynote address, but we roll with the punches. All right, so ew. Yeah.
Send it by email. It might work.
Okay. How do-
Yeah, but she's not logged in here, so it won't
Yeah.
show up here. If you send it to Chibazor, send it to the KASC email, and then Chibazor can print.
All right. All right. So while we are waiting for the agenda to be shared with everybody on screen, I'll just briefly explain what this meeting is about. So, as you all know, as MAAAS, we have one of the things that we want to look at right now is a board, right? We have a board, and currently the board is just constituted by Elizabeth and myself, with Jermaine coming in to help every so often. But now we want to have a fully constituted MAAAS board that is fully functional, fully constituted with the appropriate number of people as per the bylaws. And so that's one of the things that we're going to look at. And we're also going to look at the bylaws a little bit. But for all this, I'm going to hand over to Jermaine, because she's more knowledgeable on MAAS than I am, and she's got more knowledge and information on the organization than I have. So that's what we're going to do. And we are also going to invite Etha, and she'll give us just a brief report on last year's conference. And the other thing that we're going to look at, I think this is something that we can address right now, right? Like the Kenneth P. Lohrentz prize, right? This is for the graduate papers, right? For the graduate students who are, you have to submit your paper if you want to be considered for this award. And like I said yesterday, who knows? Because we don't have any submissions, just submit yours. You might be the only one, and you might just end up winning the prize if you submit, if you're the only submission. So take a chance. Okay, so here it is. Yep. So I'm going to hand over to Jermaine, and she will lead us through the proceedings from here. Thank you.
Okay, so good morning, everyone, and thank you for being flexible so that we can walk through this. And actually, this is a good thing because it may give us a little bit more time to wrap things up and enjoy our lunch better later. Always look at the positive. So we, because of COVID, there were a lot of changes over the last 2 or 3 years, a lot of ups and downs. And what happened is we kind of lost our executive board and had to start over. Some due to illness, some due to just the rearrangements that went on during the COVID period. So basically, we're starting a little bit fresh, and Elizabeth and Crystal Bell have been steering the boat and making sure that everybody's where they need to be for the last couple of years, and I really appreciate that. It's very meaningful to MAAS and to everybody that kind of got lost along the way during COVID. That's starting to come back now. In fact, we have a really strong presence this year of people that have been with MAAS for decades. So that's really good improvement on our part in terms of rebounding. I don't know how to make this scroll. It's not scrolling. Oh, there it did. Oh, can you? Okay, good, thank you. So Ethar is here to report on how our conference went in 2023. We did not submit any meeting minutes or the final budget, basically because her institute supported the conference almost 110%, and it was a wonderful affair. So if Ethar could just give us a little global account of how our conference went last year, we'd really appreciate it. Everybody clap for her because she did an excellent job.
Thank you so much, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thanks so much for MAAS leadership this year. I just wanted to report out on a successful conference last year. There were 38 total registrants for the conference. On the first day, 21 were in person and 11 online. And then on day 2, there were 20 in person and 14 online. And we have represented over 16 countries altogether: Brazil, Cameroon, Ghana, Ivory Coast, Kenya, Morocco, Namibia, Nigeria, South Africa, South Sudan, Tanzania, Uganda, US, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. Is there anything else you'd like me to add?
And the food was really good.
Yeah, so
Didn't your mom make that?
Mom cooked for us, and we hosted the conference in Topeka at the Kansas Health Institute where I work. And they are still so happy about the conference. So thank you all for being there. And I look forward to supporting the next year's conference as well.
And we all owe Ethar a world of that.
I just want to, this is Glenn Adams. I just want to add one note that that conference had received funding from what was then the KU Office for Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging. And that office has been reorganized, but I want to make sure we point out that that was one of the kinds of events that that office would help to facilitate and support.
Thank you. So I think we've already mentioned that the paper submissions have been extended to November 15th. We really, really, really encourage graduate students, as we said yesterday, you may be the only paper in. It's a $100 reward or award, okay? So, and this is also coming out of KASC. the Kenneth P. Lohrentz, if you, Ken was our librarian, representative for African Studies for decades at KU. And so we established this kind of reestablished this kind of in his honor. So November 15th, and that'll be reviewed by the executive committee, the papers that come in, and then the awards will be announced. Usually we have first prize, and then we have 2 second certificates of recognition, second, third. Okay, so on to the big news and the big business. We need board members, and we had some nominations come in. So we're going to start each position with the nomination that we already have, and then we'll take nominations, any additional nominations from the floor. So to begin with, I'll explain a bit. So the president is now Elizabeth, and I forget everybody's last name, so I'm a real socialist at heart, so I only know your first name. Okay, so so Elizabeth, please stand up so that everybody knows you are our president. There we go. Yeah, don't put it on me. I don't need it on me, actually. Gwen. Okay, and then Crystal Bell is our past president now, and that she still remains. There she is. And she remains on the board as past president. They are very, very beneficial people because they mentor the vice president. So the first nomination for vice president is Anatole Balma, and that's coming from our list of people here. And we need a second. Somebody raise their hand to second that nomination. Okay, I see 2, Bukola and Glenn, so that's for the record. All in favor of the nomination? We're just doing the nomination right now. Okay. Anybody else want to nominate anybody from the floor? I'll give you a whole minute. Any nominations from the floor? Vice President, President-elect? Okay, hearing none, we move forward with the vote for Anatole Balma for Vice President / President-elect of MAAAS. All in favor? Anatole Balma, please stand and accept your new elected post as Vice President, President-elect. So, thank you, and you got that right. See how easy it is to be vice president here? Okay. And then we have secretary treasurer. We actually have 2 posts right now, so bear with me for just a minute. Secretary treasurer, I was nominated for that position, which is fine, but we need a second. My name's Jermaine Abby Dogan, in case you don't know. So that's a nomination coming forth, and I see 2 seconds at least, Ithar and Bukola again, and Anatole, and I don't know your name. What's your name? Abigail? Agnes, thank you. Agnes, thank you. Okay, so all in favor of that nomination? Okay, great. Any nominations from the floor for secretary treasurer? You get money? No, you don't get any money, but you get to play with money. And you get to do the minutes for this meeting. It's great fun. Okay. Okay. Hearing none, nominations are closed. So all in favor of Jermaine Abby Dogan as secretary treasurer? Okay. We don't even do opposed in this. Okay. So well, thank you very much, and I'll set that bank account back up pretty soon. Okay. So. Now, we also have a position called Assistant Secretary Treasurer. Would you like to be nominated, Agnes? Helen? Okay. Oh, great, Helen. Are you okay with that? Yes. No, this is, well, okay. I'll be your mentor. All you gotta do is have lunch with me like twice a year. Okay. Okay, great. So Helen Uga, right? Uga is nominated for Assistant Secretary Treasurer. Second? Elizabeth? Okay, great. Elizabeth seconds, Agnes nominated. And Chibozo? And seconded. We have lots of seconds. Okay. All in favor of the nomination? Okay, great. Any other nominations from the floor for Assistant Secretary Treasurer? Hearing none? Oh, huh? Say that again? Oh, so you have to be a paid member. If there is a pay, if there are paid members on Zoom, as a matter of fact. I don't know, am I operating this then? Gosh, you guys. Okay, good, thank you. Any nominations from Zoom for Assistant Secretary Treasurer? Thank you for correcting me on that. I forgot we had paid members. So paid members can nominate and they can vote, and other people can add their 2 cents in anytime they want, okay? Do you hear anything over there? Okay, hearing none, we're all in favor of Helen Uga as Assistant Secretary Treasurer? Yay, that's unanimous for those that can't see them. Congratulations, Helen. Would you stand up to accept your position? Okay. And then we have at-large positions. Normally, there is a standing member at large so we try to make sure that there's always one person that's already in place. I was that person for this past 2 years, but since I'm moving over to Secretary Treasurer, that means all 3 roles are open this year. So I'm just gonna do this as a block, if that's okay. We have 3 names to move forward. If anybody wants to add a name for consideration. And these people can stand if they're in the room. So the nominations that we have today are for Bukola Oyeni, Timothy Bafour, or maybe we have 2. Do we have a 3rd one? We need a 3rd one. Agnes? No, she is very busy this year. We discussed it. You be friendly with all your colleagues and you invite them to the next conference. Okay. Yeah, Julie Morris. What institution are you at? Okay, great. Okay, so we have 3 at large. Any other nominations? Okay, hearing none. So we have 3 at large to have second on: Timothy Bafour, Bukola Oyeni, and Julie Morrison. Morris, sorry, my bad. I made more than it was. Okay. All in favor? Did we second these? Okay, so we need a second. Okay, Ethar and Angela. Okay. See, I gotta take notes now. It's slowing me down. Okay. So hearing no other nominations from the floor, all in favor of these 3 as our new at-large members? That's unanimous, even if they didn't raise their hand. So could you please stand, Timothy, Helen, and Julie? Yay. Thank you very much. There you go. Okay. Okay. You are Assistant Secretary Treasurer. Okay. Did you take notes? That's my first mentoring. Are you busy taking notes? Okay. Okay, so thank you everyone for creating our new board. Please, today at lunch, we need, or right before lunch, a break. We want the KASC officers, Doreen, Glenn, she's Chibozo. I don't know why I keep tripping over that. I know Igbo. I should be able to pronounce words. Anyway, we want to meet in here to take one picture with the board and the KASC officials. Okay, is that good? Okay. Website update. Right now we're on KASC, and we really appreciate that. Part of the position that Secretary Treasurer has is that they will assist with that, and that we'll try to make sure that any events that we can co-sponsor or that we do with other universities will also get shared via the website. So we want to thank KASC for picking up all that work that they've done over the last couple of years for us. And then the big issue that is always on our calendar for the agenda is the next year's conference. And I would hope that the people on Zoom as well consider, we look to move the conference around. KU has hosted it numerous times. KU Med is co-host this year with KU. We have had it at Missouri State, and I think that that's also still a good probability. We've had it at MU, and I know that we have some MU people online, and I think a couple here. We've had it in Tulsa. We've had it in Wichita. I don't know that we've ever gone actually to K-State. That might be a good venue. We've gone to Iowa. So St. Louis a couple of times, yeah. So to give you an idea of that we are truly regional, I don't know if we've gone to Nebraska yet. No, so Nebraska might be a place that we need to break in to, but what we'd like is if you would like to go talk to your department heads, or if you are a department head, if you could talk to somebody, or if you have a Black Studies or African American Studies program, talk to the head of that to see about the probability of hosting it at your institution. KU still does help sponsor it to some financial extent, but also that university would pledge some funding. This is why, and you'll see later on, we have an amendment to our Constitution. It's really important to have faculty or staff presence on these other campuses that are on the executive board. One of the duties that definitely we've discussed at dinner last night was about hosting and places that you can host the conference at for the next year. So if anybody has any ideas right now, they could put the location forward now so that we can put it in the minutes, and maybe we can make some contacts on location. And it doesn't mean that you do all the work. You know, once you have a department commitment, normally their facilities people help enormously on this process. Having hosted it twice at Missouri State and having helped as an executive officer at MU to host it, you're not the one that's doing all the detailed, like, let's go fold everything. That comes the 2 days before the conference, but all the logistical stuff you work through the university system or the institutional system that you're at, like Ethar. She can tell you that her institute, they basically laid out the logistics for the tech and the housing operations for the conference. So yeah, Ethar. Do you have affiliates there?
Yes, I have affiliates in Nebraska, but they're mainly public health people, both at Creighton and Douglas County Health Department, but I'm sure they know people who
At the university?
at the university who
That'd
do
be great.
African studies, so I can try and reach out and see if I can connect with Elizabeth on that.
Okay, great. Any other location suggestions besides Nebraska?
On the point of Nebraska, at the University of Nebraska, I think it's Lincoln, not Omaha.
Lincoln.
Well, there are two. I think
yeah.
the person, I think it's Alice Kang. I'm not one of the co-chairs of the African Studies Association conference this year is at the University of Nebraska. So it would be, yeah, I don't know that they know of the existence of MAAS or whether they've ever participated. So this is not necessarily uh, a lot of, would have to happen for this to be a possibility. But I think incorporating them into the organization, it seems to be some uh, uh, organization of African studies at UN or UNL. So I think that might be an interesting move. Of course, nobody from Nebraska is here right now.
Right, yeah.
So that's usually a bad move to say that you're going to do someplace where you don't have anybody who is
Yeah, but
working
we
with you
could
yet.
just initiate a member to.
Exactly. We can initiate
Yeah.
well, I mean, we can initiate a conversation about thinking about doing it, but
Right, yeah. So any other recommendations or suggestions?
Financial commitment, or what sort of financial commitment would an institution need to be able to contribute?
So, so basically KASC donates some money. In the past, I know that we've gotten up to $1,000 funding from them besides the graduate award. What normally happens is that your department will contribute something, and then maybe your college, or in my case at Missouri State University, also working with the international studies and working with the Provost Office for Diversity, the Vice Provost Office for Diversity. They've supplied funding. It doesn't, the cost is really runs about $3,000, I want to say, out of pocket. Does that sound?
yeah, I mean, part of the thing is that
Yeah.
Moss now might have a little bit of money, so Moss can kick into its own
Right.
support for the conference. And then there's also the matter of charging fees. That's what the fees do really here. The fees that people are paying to attend this conference that goes into some account that Moss can use to host the future conferences where they don't have the support of an organization like KUMC. So everybody here, we'll say it several times, but we're very appreciative of KUMC for all of the logistical support they've provided in terms of the space, but also the catering, all the catering they've provided for us. So those are expenses that this conference hasn't had to bear, but another conference might have to bear.
Right, exactly. And I've got to say that normally our fees cover all the food. In the past, that's what I've had to make most checks for, or payments. We've had live entertainment before that we've paid for, but also we sometimes, and this is where faculty and graduate students actually have a little bit of pull on the campus of choice. For instance, Margie and I, there are faculty and student grants sometimes to support events. And so like we brought in Susan Rice one year through a faculty foundation grant from our university, Margie Buckner and I. So yeah, there's lots of different ways to help fund it. Our fees do cover the basic cost of entertainment and food normally. And Glenn, yeah.
So Brian, I don't know if you're thinking about maybe doing it at Lincoln, if that's what you were asking.
Desirability. I have, there are two historians. We're a very small school. We have 80 faculty, so it's the size of a department at KU or something like that. So I've got two new faculty colleagues in history that are both Africanists, and they've just created a new African American and Africana Studies minor. I would have to consult with them to see their willingness to contribute, your timeline, but I would not say no today if there is interest.
Okay, great. Then-
So, sorry to jump in. The reason I asked that is if we do it at Lincoln, which is a historically black college, then KASC can probably provide a little bit more support than we might otherwise do because it is our mandate to support the development of African studies at community colleges and minority serving institutions. So we could uh, probably request permission to divert a little bit more money. And this seems to be exactly what our grant is supposed to do. So I think that if you're willing to, if you and your colleagues are willing to do some of the organizational work, we can, along with MAAS, then KASC can probably help with some of the funding.
And the Secretary Treasurer, and I'm sure that I can help with finding additional funding as well, to work with you guys, so.
I'm not the. Jermaine, who are you recommending? We have two people.
Bukola, he's been behind you with waving his hand for a long
Yeah.
time.
I also want us to put Missouri State in the picture.
Okay, so Missouri State, I was gonna pressure you afterwards, Bukola, but thank you.
You don't need to pressure me because all right, let me make this public now. I opened up discussion with some of my colleagues that's what I was referring to when I told you earlier yesterday that we talked about you. And what I just simply opened up on was that, why is it that we are kind of just sitting behind and looking at MAAS withering away? COVID is over. Let's get our house together. Jamine is no longer here. She has retired. Now we need to ensure that we keep doing the job. And almost everybody agreed with me. Say, yeah, that's true. Say, okay. If it is true, I'm going to MAAS. And woe betides any of you who is not kicking in. So when I saw a couple of them
And
on
some of
Zoom,
them are on Zoom, so.
when I saw a couple of them on Zoom, I was so happy because I joined MAAS 2013. So, and we were at Texas A&M that year. And since then, I have spoken about MAAS, not because of anything, extensively with people, not because of anything other than these small gatherings that you can basically look at what people are doing, contribute meaningfully to it. And one of my criticisms was that MAAS is not in any way different from African Studies Association conferences, that you just go there, spend thousands of dollars, and you just talk, and you walk away. No publication, nothing whatsoever. And as a result, upcoming researchers, graduate students should use platforms like this to hone their skills, to get published and stuff like that. Until sometimes middle of last year or late last year, Lexington just sent me a mail. Could you be able to review this? And I saw names of my colleagues from MAAS. I said, yes, send it to me. So that, for me, is one big thing. And I spoke widely about it on campus. And almost everybody was receptive. So let's push the button further and see whether they will.
Great. Thank you very much, Bukola. I really appreciate that.
I have a question. I don't know if this is the right time to ask, but since we're talking about locations, is MAAS or KASC able to like sponsor or give scholarships to people who want to attend? Like, for example, let's say we're here in Kansas City. You have some people like in Nebraska who wanted to be here, but they cannot be here because of,
Yeah, Glenn
financial-
knows
yeah.
more about that. I
Okay.
know that in the past, KU has helped with a few graduate students. I know that we do not help faculty on that level.
Yes, we have in our grant proposal for National Resource Center money for that purpose. So we do have scholarships available. Usually we have not had takers for the scholarships. So we have to find people who are taking the scholarships. But if we have, yeah, we can make it.
And,
We
and you
can
know,
have
I
it.
don't think that we connected it to the MAAS event. So maybe that would be a thing
Right.
next year that we need to be aware of and do more proactively.
Yeah.
Thank you for actually bringing that up.
Right. The way we're using that money this year is to pay for the some fees
Okay, great.
from associated with the conference.
That's great. So see, we got money we don't even know about. So-
Yeah. Well, we have. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
So-
Glenn knows about it. We don't know.
Well, we have money for until 2026. So we're in year 3 of a 4-year grant. We will have, KASC has money guaranteed, more or less guaranteed, for another year, which would mean one more MAAS conference that we'll be able to support. Further support would depend on renewal of that 4-year award, which comes up. The competition will be around this time next year. So that money that we have each year, for the past few cycles, the Kansas African Studies Center has included in its National Resource Center Award money to support MAAS in a number of different ways. That sort of attendance scholarship is one. The honoraria for the keynote speakers is another. And we try to be creative and flexible with the ways that we use other money to support events as well. So if we were to have it, for example, at Lincoln next year, we could take money that we have for other conferences that we support that aren't happening, or other events that we do with other centers across the country, other African study centers. We put that in the grant. Sometimes they don't happen. And so we have money that we can then divert for other purposes. This is the money I'm thinking about using for the MAAS conference.
Okay, great. So any other location suggestions or questions about the oh, so we need to go on, oh, go ahead. Oh, okay, sorry.
No, I don't need a mic.
Oh, you don't need to. Is there a comment online?
Oh, Dave Walton is a new faculty member at Lincoln? Okay. That sounds great. And comes from MSU. Is that Michigan or Missouri? Okay. Is he gonna type? Well, welcome. So theme, oh, sorry, the next item on the agenda is the theme for next year. And do we have any suggestions or recommendations? Normally comes out of, the trending scholarship issues out there. Glenn?
So this is not necessarily a suggestion for a theme. It's just to give a little bit of background about this particular theme. So when the Kansas African Studies Center makes that proposal, we also have a set of annual themes that we propose. And this year's annual theme was about disinformation and epistemic violence. So we're having a year of programming on that theme, and that's why, because we were organizing it, we decided to make the conference about that theme. Now, there's no reason that the themes need to be linked at all, but if you're thinking about that, the theme of next year is something around environmental justice.
Yeah, I think that we did do environmental justice one year.
Yeah, I'm probably.
But it's been a while. So, yeah, so one year we did intersectionality, because obviously it feeds into issues of equity and justice. And that's how we ended up with this publication, was from that theme. So if we want to do environmental justice, this does not preclude people from participating that don't have a specific specialization in environmental justice. That's the great thing about MAAS. MAAS is truly interdisciplinary. You can approach it from whatever direction you want. I literally have, for some reason, well, not for some reason. So like I am in education and cultural studies, right? And I'm interdisciplinary social sciences. I have a publication that's literally on STEM. So everybody thinks I'm in the hard sciences, but I'm really looking at women's inclusion in STEM and Nigerian education. But I get all kinds of offers to come apply for jobs in STEM now. So that's how interdisciplinary we are.
Yeah, I would also suggest, what I'm trying to do is to give people a sense for historically how we might go about determining the topic. That's one way. Another way, of course, is whoever is proposing to host the conference should have a very big, if not the biggest, say in what the theme is. So that's another point. But on Jermaine's point about the theme and how it dictates what people present, there are always papers that don't, not only do you not have to be an expert in the theme, you don't even have to present on the theme necessarily.
That's true, yeah. Yeah, and so it does not exclude anybody from participating in a conference. If you want to send in theme ideas, the executive committee will make the final decision. Because for a time element, I don't know how much, I'm pretty sure that we're close to time right now.
For the next,
When is lunch?
yeah,
Yeah,
still
so,
30 minutes.
and we have we have 2 action items coming up. Anybody have any other ideas for themes that we can kind of digest, and anything close to your heart that needs, like, last year, we did it on health issues, and it ended up, we had a lot on immigration and health issues, and it was a fabulous turnout, actually. So, well, just keep in mind, you can email, we need, who should be the point person, Glenn, since everything's under KASC right now? Okay, yeah, the MAAS email, thank you. Can you say what that is out loud?
You can type it into the chat if.
Hold on, I'm not there yet. I have to change this to everybody, right? Okay, say it again. Did you say something besides MAAS? At
PG, I
gmail.com?
think.
PG? I'm typing over my stuff here. Does that look right to you? No, sir, PPP. Okay, my bad. Okay. Okay, great. So please submit your theme ideas to maaaspp@gmail.com. Thank you. Okay. So normally we have 3 people review the papers. This will be for next year. This year, we'll just assume that myself and Elizabeth and Crystal Bell are the committee. But for next year, if you'd like to send your name to the maaaspp@gmail.com, we don't normally have a lot of papers, and we usually divide them up and then compare notes at the end. The most papers I've ever seen is 9, and we usually have 3 people on the committee. So just keep that in your mind, and you will get a solicitation email later about that, since you've signed in today. And then on to our action items. Oh, well, new membership and recruitment and outreach, that's an ongoing thing. And thank you again to the at-large members, but also everybody in this room. You are a voice for MAAS. You are a voice for African-American studies. This is truly interdisciplinary. So anyone who is your friend that has a true commitment to African-American affairs, they're welcome, they're invited, they're encouraged to participate. And if you have events at your university or your institutions that you'd like to invite one of our executive committee members or members to participate in or to co-host with, we might not have money to co-host with, but we could certainly be a presence. And because this is advocacy, at the heart of it all, I was one of the 2 graduate students when MAAS was founded. I know I only look 30. Okay, but I wasn't there on the day that they actually signed the paperwork, but I can tell you that MAAS has been a touchstone, a cornerstone of my life for more than 30 years now. And even though some of the faces change, the commitment to African and African-American studies has not changed. And in this world where EEO offices, diversity offices are attacked, where the idea that the international should be excluded or the domestic should be excluded, pitting each other against each other, when those things seem to make the world spin on its head right now, we are needed. We are really needed to help each other and to help guide people out there that may not hear a voice about Africa or African American studies otherwise. So, yeah, Glenn?
So on that point of membership, I wanted to remind everyone who hasn't paid membership dues, who is in the room, that they can do that during lunch or after lunch today. And then also, we're not asking people online who are participating online to pay fees, but if you want to be a member of MAAS, you can tell us and send us the $10 for a graduate student and $20 for a faculty member, and then MAAS will add you to the list of members.
Yes, and we encourage that. As a matter of fact, since we've been able to be virtual consistently, at some point, I have an idea that we should partner with an African university to help host. I know that I have seen it done at the University of Ibadan. I think I have a colleague that's done it through some South African university. So it is a feasible venture, but we have to have a real commitment from the top down to make that present. So it does take a little bit more time and effort logistically to prepare for that. But in the next couple of years, it would be great if we could have a virtual host with Africa, with an African institution or university. So. Am I offline? Okay, so that's on membership. Review of the bylaws. There's just two logistical things that one needs to be corrected. Back before COVID, we added students, but the agreement was graduate students. So this is literally a clerical error on our part. So this comes forward for a second. So I'm going to take these articles separately. Article 3, membership and dues. The change is to put faculty and academic administrators, graduate students, school teachers, retired or independent scholars, as well as institutions, agencies, and organizations interested in Africa. So I need a second to this motion to move forward. The idea is that we didn't have students specifically in here prior, and so there was a huge discussion when we were in Iowa about making that happen, and I don't know why we didn't put the word graduate in.
Question.
Yes.
Are we excluding undergrad students?
Yeah, so, yeah, go.
Okay,
go
yeah,
ahead.
it says graduate students, so are we excluding undergrad students? What about those students who are at institutions that do not have graduate studies, but they have undergrad programs that align with MAAS?
Right. So we're not excluding we're not excluding undergraduates from participation. They are excluded from the graduate paper submission already because this is a professional organization, and the idea is that you mentor students into it. So when you're an undergraduate student, it's fair to say that you're getting your feet wet when you can come to the conference, when you can interact with graduate students who are forming their research protocols, who have an idea of what needs to be done to be into professional African-American studies. In no way does this imply that they're of lesser value to us. It is our job to mentor people. It is our job to make sure that they come up in the ranks properly prepared. You know, this conference is on misinformation, and there's a balance between the teacher and the student, and it's respected across Africa, and I know that it's respected in most of our institutions. So we want to make sure that we're doing our jobs as scholars, as teachers, and as mentors. So we include all students. I want to make that very clear. In participating, all students are welcome. But in terms of mentoring and being on the membership for consideration for the executive board and those kind of things, we're not asking undergraduate students to be in that position. So does that help, Christabel? Okay, great. Okay, so any other questions? Oh, did we get a second? I wasn't supposed to talk to you yet, Christabel. Do we have a second? for this? Okay, Glenn and Anatole, I'm going to learn to drop that E. Okay. Okay, so we have second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, vote for A on the review of the bylaws. All in favor? Show of hands or yay? Any opposed? Same sign? Okay, it passes. Now, the second article, this comes out of learning through COVID. So we had a wonderful group of graduate students who came forward at the last conference, and we did not have faculty on the board per se as voted members of the executive board. We didn't realize that we had people rolling off. Ethar had been our anchor. That year we had somebody who had to roll off at because of illness out of another institution that was faculty as well. So we left graduate students holding the bag, and that should never happen. To my first point, my earlier point, and that's why I came on as member at large out of retirement. So, and you know, Glenn already has a full-time and a half job, so thank you, Glenn, honestly, sincerely. So we're adding, so the proposal is to add at least one member of the executive committee shall be tenure track faculty. This is a twofold purpose. One, as I said, to make sure that we are never leaving graduate students in an empty space where they don't have a mentor, they don't have a line of communication to institutions that can help further them up the chain of command. And secondly, is to provide institutional support. Everybody that's tenure track in this room knows that what comes with that is a privilege to talk to other people at a level that you cannot talk to them if you're just a lecturer or if you're staff or if you're a student. The politics of higher education is what it is, and tenure track faculty are more protected than any of the other people that I just mentioned. So having said that, to have at least one person that's in a position that can do some representation for us and some bridging of some gaps institutionally or hierarchically, seems to be needed. Yeah, I'm a socialist at heart, but I'm a pragmatic in life. So that's why I added this as a proposal for this year. And we'd need a second on it, or if you to discuss it. Yeah. Ethar? So you'll second it? Okay. All in favor of the proposal for discussion? It's signified by saying aye. Okay. Any opposed? Same sign. Hearing none. Okay. So questions, comments, discussion? Yeah, Angela?
I do have a question regarding the restriction to tenure track. I got what you said, the rationale behind that, but I don't know if it's kind of like, you know, excludes some potentials that could actually equally contribute to what is intended for this position. Equally, just like a tenure track.
Oh,
I'm giving
yeah.
an example for myself. I am an
Doesn't
associate professor.
exclude you at all, because there's 7 positions on
Um,
the committee.
Yes, I get that. But I was just pretty much like thinking about myself in this case. I'm an associate professor, teaching professor. I'm not a tenure track, but I supervise students. I'm a graduate committee, I'm a graduate faculty member, and I'm on committees for dissertations, and that restriction to just say tenure track. And I think I can speak for other faculty members here as well, who are not necessarily on tenure track, but they equally serve. So I don't know whether
So
that's my comment.
so if there's a better way to state this, we could do a friendly amendment. The point is somebody who is in a and you know, this doesn't exclude any of these positions. I want to clarify this. This is that we're only saying one member out of the whole executive body. So you, right, just one member should always, because I couldn't think of any other terminology that put the person in a safe space that has the necessary hierarchy to hold that. And again, this is a professional organization that we have to demonstrate that we're vested in our own association. So, so if there's if you want to make a friendly amendment to make it more generic, but also clear that this is a like permanent kind of person at institution. Okay.
I'm just throwing it out there. How about we reword it this word? At least a member of the executive committee shall be a faculty member in a permanent position.
I'm fine. Does anybody? I'm fine with that. Yeah, I think that that addresses the issue. So let me write that out real good. Okay.
Shall be a faculty in a permanent position status.
Okay, a faculty in a permanent
Position
position
status,
status. Okay, great.
I'm good with the change, and I don't want to seem like I'm against this, but I just know that in the environment that we're in,
We may not have tenure track.
well, not only maybe that, but also I think having someone, even tenor positions are, you know, people are still kind of attacking them. So I would, I don't know, but I would want that cover of someone with a tenure track position who might be able to say and do things that others may not be able to. So I think we can propose two, but I just think that having someone on the executive committee that is a tenure track might actually help in the long run, just based on everything that's happening right now politically. It might not be needed in a year or two, hopefully, but we never know. So
Right.
that might be my suggestion, to keep someone. But I absolutely understand. I think that someone who's not a tenure track can actually have more time or contribute even more. But I think just having that political coverage is helpful.
I just wanted to say, I don't know which one is best, but instead of tenure track, I would put tenured. Tenure track implies
Yeah,
also people who have not yet received tenure. So
But-
if the intent is more
but-
toward permanent
Right.
and tenured would be.
So we have two friendly, let's address the first friendly amendment first. Is there a second for the friendly amendment or do I need a second for a friendly amendment? Can I just take a vote?
I think you can take a vote.
Okay, so we have two proposals to change it to actual tenured, which is stronger. I agree. It makes it very clear, and protects that person completely. I know what it means to go through tenure. So we have two proposals as friendly amendments. One shall be a faculty in a permanent position, status, period. And we have the other friendly amendment to just change it to shall be tenured and take away track, faculty. I guess I'll go with the first one. How many are in favor, and think about this for a minute. Is there further discussion on either one of these? Okay, so hearing none, I'm going to ask for a show of hands for those that think it should be changed to shall be a faculty in a permanent position status. All in favor? Show of hands. Can you count, Helen? Because I can't see everybody over the screen. Nine? Okay. Okay, and then all those in favor of changing it to at least one member of the executive committee shall be tenured faculty. A show of hands, same sign. Oh, did you? So, do we start over? You want to start over? Okay. Okay. Okay, so show of hands on the second one, where it's just one or the other. If you voted for one, you should not vote for the other. Because it's just a friendly. Continue. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I think, how many people do we have total? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I think that I feel like the vice president right now. We have 17 people in the room. So, and we don't, let's do this one more time now that the options are clear.
So,
Okay.
so do you want to have the vote be between the two options? Because that would be a way to frame it instead of,
Because it's
do
a
you approve the
friendly-
one versus
Yeah.
approve the other? It got confusing. I
Yeah, so-
don't, parliamentary procedure, I don't know exactly which way one's supposed to do it, but now we're coming down to two proposals and you're proposing that we vote between the two.
Because these are both friendly amendments that I'm happy to accept. Okay, I need to clarify that. I'm happy to accept either one of those friendly amendments. It does not change the substance of the amendment. That's why I can say that they're friendly. It still gets to the same exact goal. So, okay, so we're going to vote for the first one. If you're in favor of that one, you're going to raise your hand. If you're in favor of the second one, then you vote for that one. Okay. I'm going to read them. Okay. So the first friendly proposal was shall be a faculty in a permanent position status. All in favor? Should raise a hand. And can you count, Helen? Oh, and Peter's online too, so add him. 14? Okay, then we don't even need to vote on the second friendly amendment. This passes, and we're changing it to, yay, we're changing it to how many faculty does it take to put in a light bulb? Okay. Oh, Israel's voting as well. So this passes with 16. So we will change it to at least one member of the executive committee shall be a faculty in a permanent position status, period. Thank you very, very much. That's our last actual action item. Now for the raffle. So these are the two edited volumes. Oh, I'll just turn it on. Yeah, there you go. This is one. So we have, this one just came out. This is a narrative of Africa Rising, edited by Valentina Ezeka. My mouth is really dry right now, sorry. Eziaka, and me, Jermaine Abbey Dogan. And the narrative of Africa Rising is on both, is a discussion about the variables in terms of Africa's progress and how people look at that progress or how they measure that progress, as well as how things are on the ground. We actually have two journals already requesting to review this book. So that doesn't happen very often when a book just came off the shelf, but so it's in good place. And then the second book came out last year, and it's from our conference on intersectionality and interconnections, and Sterling Recker and I are the editors on that one. And it talks about exactly what it says, intersectionality and interconnections, and it looks at it from an Afrocentric perspective. So it's not just class, gender, race, as you would say in the domestic field in the US in terms of intersectionality theory. It looks at things like ethnicity. It looks at things like status within indigenous, well, not indigenous, in terms of African civilizations, how status is figured, how that acts out, plays out in terms of interactions. So this is an Afrocentric perspective of intersectionality that you won't find pretty much anywhere else. Okay, that's my pitch. Now, Elizabeth is my play that game assistant, and she's going to pass out numbers if she hasn't already. Does everybody pass out? Okay. Now, Elizabeth, oh, actually, since Crystal Bell's standing right here, this is for the narrative of Africa Rising. And just so that we have everything on the up and up, Crystal Bell is going to read this number out loud. Number 8. Anybody have number 8? Really? Did I not write 8? Did you not write 8? Everybody has a piece of paper. Got it. I see why Oprah quit putting those numbers under the chairs. Who has it? Nobody. Okay, let's try this number. 17. Yay! We have a winner. Okay. Then okay, let me think of another number. Okay. And this is for is that you really? Oh. Oh. Is it this way up or this way? No. Okay. I don't know how you wrote it. Oh yeah, you're right. There, okay. Okay. Number 6. Yay! See what happens when you turn your paper over? You win things. Yeah. Glenn has number 9.
I was gonna give it to whoever had number 6. Or whoever had number 9 if it's a 6. I don't know if it's 6 or 9, so.
So-
Does Israel have a question, or is his hand just up for the voting?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's actually a vote.
Okay, just
Oh, it's a
checking, yeah.
vote. Okay, put your hands down now. Okay. Okay, and for everybody else, you did get this lovely colored bookmark, okay, that's here. And and for those people on Zoom, you can see it on your online program. The links to both these books from the publisher are on the programs online when you click into it. And for those of you, if you don't find one in your bag, leave these out here on the front table, these bookmarks, so that you can share them with your colleagues, go back to your departments, your institutions, and have them support us in all of our research and endeavors. So that's all the new business I have. We did have one discussion point about maybe doing virtual events from quarterly to increase membership at different institutions. And that's something that we could email out or to look at for future. Like not a conference, just a online event. Yes.
I would like to recommend that we update our listserv, the email addresses. I would like to recommend that we update our listserv with email addresses so that everybody gets the email that go out.
Okay. Yeah, and we're in the process of that. That's one of the reasons why we asked you to sign in both dates. And KASC has done a great job in terms of filtering a lot of the old ones that we had out that are no longer active. The emails themselves are no longer active. So, so our discussion just ad hoc was that we thought that maybe doing virtual kind of events from somebody's department to make it kind of more inclusive across institutions, that we could maybe do it on a quarterly event. That's probably something that the first meeting of the committee would look at. And if there's any interest from the group to host those, we'll definitely be reaching out to you to find that out. And once we have an idea of how we want to run a calendar and what kind of time and space that we have to organize it. So,
Yeah, there might be a way to do a joint KASC MAAS virtual event. We already have a virtual colloquium series that we do, at least 3 presentations each academic semester. So we could run one of those jointly with MAAS, or in any case, the reason for combining them mostly would be to capitalize on the networks that exist in both organizations. So if you have an event, it would go to the MAAS listserv, but if we would post it and advertise it anyway, but I think it would have a different status in people's heads when they receive the invitation if it's something in our colloquium series.
yeah, that's true. And also, we thought that this might be good to also more regularly include African institutions. So because it would be virtual, it could even be joint hosted. And these are just small events, like you invite your college, your department, a luncheon kind of thing if you want. Not that we're paying for food, okay. But things that are of interest, of topics for your department or your college that you look at and you say, oh, MAAS might be able to help host this with us and we can have virtual conversation about it. So, okay, and that's all of our new news. Is there any other items people want to bring forward? Yes.
For the sake of transparency, going forward, it would be interesting to share the budget report with the
Oh, well,
conference.
we would love to do that, but because MAAS wasn't really collecting at the time, we don't have a budget report from last year, okay? Again, this is what happens. This is post-COVID fallout. We didn't have what you call a linear
Year after
transition.
year.
Okay, and so we lost information in the process, and to go back, and I've been told by auditors that you never go back to recreate figures, okay? And so since those figures weren't actually available at the end of the year, because most of that was supported from the other institutions and they track that money, not us. So
That's
like last year.
totally
was-
fine, but going forward,
Going forward, there will be. Right. Yeah,
thank you.
so
I think
sorry.
we owe it to our members.
And if you want to look online and see how KU spent their part of that money and how the Health Institute spent theirs, I'm sure that they have some financial officer, but we didn't track that money last year.
Okay.
So. Well, that's all I have. And again, at lunch, if we could meet here right before lunch to take a picture of KASC officials and the board, or if we want to do it right now, that would be fine too. Do you want to do it right now?
Yeah, I was just gonna, announce lunch. Christabel's gonna announce lunch, but I guess I can do it just as well. We will return, for those of you online, we will resume the programming at 1 p.m. Central Time, which is, what is that? That's 1800 UTC. Yeah, so those of you, wherever you are, will be back at 1800 UTC in 1 p.m. Central Time with panel 6 A and B, I believe. And then following that, we have the last session, panel 7, and I hope you can join us.
Thank you very much. And please join MAAS if you haven't already.